Hmm?
Dear student, today we will start a new topic about our pharmacology. In last class, I have already discussed about the receptor which are helping in gene expression and transcription. So by that class, I have already finished the receptor chapters and receptor portion where we have studied about different classification of receptors, how they are going to show their action, specific details about all the classified classes of the receptor, their structure, their mechanism of action, how they are going to bind with drug, and how they are going to help the drug to show its particular desired action or therapeutic action at a specific site or specific part of a body. So today we will discuss with a new topic that is included in pharmacology. So before going into the main part or main drug and their classification, we have to come to know or we have to know some terms that is related to drug and drug action that we have to remember before taking a drug and before administer a drug. So we will discuss about all that terms that we have to remember that we will discuss today in that video. So let's get started into the video. So I have told you today we will discuss about different terms that is related to drug. When we have to take that drug, we have to remember all the terms before taking the drug, because that will help that drug to show its action by taking a minimum amount, and it will also helps the drug to show minimum or negligible adverse drug reaction. So all the terms we have to remember before taking that drug into our body. What all other terms that we have to remember, that are dose, then what is response, then what is the relationship between dose and response, then we will discuss about what is drug response relationship, then we will study about what is the drug response curve, then we will also study about therapeutic index and different drug interaction in that upcoming videos. So today we will discuss about dose, response, their definition, what is their relation between dose and response, then what is drug response concentration, what is drug response curve, what is therapeutic index, etc. in that upcoming today's video. So first thing what comes under our mind when we heard about first term, when we are taking drug into our body, the first term what we have to remember, that is dose. We all know when we are taking any drug, we saw that in that in front of that tablet or any drug what we are taking, on their label some instructions are written, like how much we have to take. Like in some drug it is written 100 mg, in some drug it is written 10 mg, somewhere it is written 500 mg, somewhere 650 mg. So what all are that written? That is written as dose. So what is the definition of dose? Dose is minimum quantity of drug that is required for a drug to show its effect, that we have to take in a single take. So what is dose? Dose is the minimum quantity of drug that it is required to be administered in our body. I am telling dolo. That is a company name. That dolo is generally containing paracetamol, for which we are generally taking that dolo. That dolo is for treating or decreasing fever or body temperature. We generally use dolo. So what is dolo's dose? We know dolo is getting in two doses, that is 650 mg and 500 mg. So what is that dose mean? If we want to decrease our body temperature or we want to treat fever, then we have to take dolo of drug, that is 650 mg of minimum or 500 mg of minimum to overcome fever, so that the body temperature decrease and it's come to the normal value. So that is dose. The second term that is we have to know, that is response. So what is response? Response is a effect that generally showed by our body when we are taking any drug, or we can tell when we are taking any drug what our body is going to show as a reaction, that is also called as response. So response is a effect that is given by drug. Just one example, you are taking 600 or 650 mg of dolo. So when you are taking that 650 mg of dolo, what is it is doing? It is decreasing your body temperature to overcome fever. So that means what is dolo is doing? When you are taking 650 mg of dolo, that will decrease the fever by decreasing the body temperature. So here the dose is 650 mg is the dose of the dolo, and the response is fever decreasing. So from one example only we can tell what is dose and response. That is dolo we are taking 650 mg. So here dose is 650 mg. When we are taking dolo, what it is doing? It is showing a response. How it is showing a response? It is showing a response by decreasing our body temperature, and it is helping our body to overcome fever. So by that only I can explain you, or you can understand what is dose and what is response. And one thing we have to remember about that response and dose relation, that is dose versus response. That means if you are increasing the dose of a drug, the response showed by the drug or by the body will be more effective. So when you are taking more dose of drug, it will show more action or it will show more response. It can be more therapeutic response or it can be more adverse drug reaction. So we can tell whenever we are taking more amount of drug, that means if the drug dose is more, that will show more response. That response can be therapeutic response or adverse drug response, that will be also more. So that means dose and response is the response is directly proportional. Directly proportional. That means when we are taking more drug dose, then the response showed by that drug will be also more. So after that we have to remember what is drug response relationship. So I have already told, if we are taking more drug amount, that means the dose is more. If the dose is more, that means that drug plasma concentration. What is drug plasma concentration? Drug plasma concentration is the amount of drug that is present in the plasma. So before going into that response and drug relationship, you have to remember one thing, that is drug plasma concentration, and another more is plasma response relationship. So two relationship we have to remember. One is drug plasma concentration relation, and second one is relation between plasma concentration and response. So indirectly we can tell that dose is directly proportional to the drug plasma concentration is directly proportional to the response. So from here we can see that drug response relationship depend upon two type of relationship. One is drug plasma concentration relation, that means that is the relation between how much amount of drug you are taking and how much drug is present as a concentration in plasma. So that drug and plasma concentration relation is also dependent upon dose response relationship, and another more relation is between plasma concentration and the response that is showed by the drug. That pharmacological that concentration and response also having one relation that is also dependent upon dose response relationship. So directly we can tell that dose is directly proportional or directly dependent on drug plasma concentration, and it is also dependent directly on or directly proportional to the response. That means if you are taking more amount of drug into your body, that drug plasma concentration in your plasma also will be more, and that response showed by the dose or drug or by the body will be also more. So that is between the relation of drug dose and response and drug plasma concentration. So to explain this relationship between dose and response concentration or drug plasma concentration or plasma concentration and response relationship, we can tell as a equation. That equation is explained by E is equal to E max into D divided by KD plus D. So to understand the relationship between drug and response, that is can be explained by a equation that is E is equal to E max into D divided by KD plus D. So in that equation, what is what? That E is effect, or we can tell that is response showed by a drug. What is Emax? Emax is the maximum effect that can be shown by a drug dose. And what is D? That D is called as dose. And what is KD? That KD is called as dissociation constant, that we will discuss into the upcoming classes and in other classes. So you just have to remember to understand the relationship between drug dose and the response given by the body is dependent on a equation, or can be represented as a equation that is E is equal to Emax into D by KD plus D, where E is the response or effect showed by the drug. Emax is the maximum effect or maximum response that can be shown by a drug. D is the requirement of dose or that much drug that we are taking as a dose in our body, that is called as drug dose or D, and KD is called as dissociation constant. So that equation we have to remember to understand what is drug response relationship. So today I have described about what is dose, what is relationship between drug and response, what is response, what is the drug plasma concentration, what is the relation between dose and response, what is the relationship between response and drug plasma, and also the relationship between dose dose plasma concentration and the response relationship. Then we have studied the equation that generally describe the relationship between drug dose and response. That equation was E is equal to E max plus D divided by KD plus D, where we have studied that is response, KD means dissociation constant, the D means dose, and the E max is maximum response showed by the drug. Then we have studied what are the two relationships, that is one is drug and drug plasma concentration relationship, two and second one is drug response or plasma drug relationship with a response. In the next and upcoming classes we will study about the graph which generally describes the relationship between drug dose and response. Today we showed that equation Emax is equal to, that equation is the equation that generally explained or describe the drug response or dose response relationship In the upcoming videos, we will discuss about the drug response curve, that is the graph we generally describe or showed us or tell us how a drug dose and relation and response is related to each other. Then we will study about drug response curve, what is drug potency, what is drug efficacy, what is lethal dose, what is effective dose, what is therapeutic index, what is the significance of therapeutic index, and what is drug interaction, adverse drug reaction. All the topics I am going to explain into the upcoming videos for today. Thank you.